Ever wonder why some chords just sound perfect together, or why certain songs feel so smooth and natural? The secret is knowing which chords belong in the same key. In this lesson, I'll show you the simplest way to find the right chords in any key so you can strum with confidence and sound great. Welcome back to Relax Learn Guitar. I'm Kevin, and this is Maggie May. Thought she was pretty hungry today. My wife Vicky's behind the camera.
Hello.
Let's get started. So this lesson's a little different than the ones you might see here on the channel. I'm going to talk about music theory just a tiny bit, just enough to be dangerous. I don't want to go on and on, so I'm trying to really condense this down. So when we talk about playing chords that are in a key, all that means is that the chords are made up of the notes from the same scale. All right, so, and this is going to be about the major scale. We'll just kind of start there. So in this major scale, let's use the key of C as an example. So we have the key of C, and that key of C has chords in it, and all the chords in that key are from the scale of C major. Chords that sound good together are in the same key. So knowing which chords are in a key, super helpful. So we're going to talk about some numbers here. We might do some Roman numerals too. So yeah, I'm going to put some graphics up as I talk through this to kind of help you visualize it. And then I'm going to show you a practical way to use this information to play better and feel better about playing things that sound good. So we're going to assign a number to each note in the key. The first is 1, that's the root, that is C. So C is 1, then we just go up the alphabet. D is number 2, E is number 3, F is number 4, G is number 5, A is number 6, and B is number 7. And then it just repeats from there over and over. So we've assigned a number to each of the notes in the scale. The reason we're doing this is we'll learn that what we talk about here today and what we learned today can be applied to any key and any chords in those keys, just by simply changing the key that you want to play in. So we have C, 1 through 7. The other thing we're going to do is when we're playing in this key of C, we need to know, are we going to play a major chord in this key or a minor? So the way we do that is there is a pattern, and we love patterns. So we're going to follow a pattern here in the key of C to figure out if we should play major chords or minor chords. So the 1 chord is always major in the major key. So we have a C major chord. The 2 chord, which is D, is always minor. So we're going to play a D minor chord. The 3 chord is also always minor. That's an E minor. So these are all the chords in the key of C. The 4 chord is always major. We're going to play an F major chord. You can play a bar chord if you want. But as long as you can also play F major 7, as long as the chord you're playing is major, it's okay. So for this purposes, just to skip over the bar chord issue, we're going to play an F major 7 chord. The 5 chord is always major, so in the case of the key of C, that's a G. The 6 chord is always minor, so in the key of C, that's going to be an A minor chord. And the 7th chord is always diminished, and we're just going to kind of put that on hold for a minute. It's not a super common chord that you'll see in a lot of common songs. If you like this lesson so far, you're finding it helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. It will help other folks on YouTube see this lesson. The last thing we'll do before we kind of putting this into practice is you'll often see the major chords as a uppercase Roman numeral, and you'll often see the minor chords and the diminished chord as lowercase Roman numerals. And so you'll see, like in the key of C, for example, you'd have a 1 is the uppercase Roman numeral. And let's say, the 3 chord, which is E minor, would be a lowercase. So I'll leave this up on the screen here of how this kind of pattern fits together for the key of C so you can kind of visualize it. So in the key of C, we have 3 major chords, C, F, and G, and we have 3 minor chords, D, E, and A minor. So every major key has a pattern, and that pattern shows us which chords are being built around in the notes of that scale, and which of those chords are major or minor. Be sure and click the link in the description below for your free resource I put together for you. The first 8 chords you should learn when playing the guitar. And those chords, guess what, are part of keys that you can put and move around into chord progressions. So definitely check out the free resource. It's in the link below. The most useful chords in a key are chords 1, 4, and 5. And those 3 chords can do so much with how you arrange them and what you do with them. So for our key of C for today's lesson, the C chord, the 1 chord, we're going to play this F major 7 as our 4 chord, and the G as the 5 chord. 1, 4, 5. Super common. If you can just take anything from this lesson, when you start breaking down songs and learning songs, you're going to be like 1, 4, 5. Yeah. Yep. And the blues are built around it. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with it. The other one that's pretty common is the 6 chord. In the key of C, that's our A minor chord, as you'll remember. And it's nice to throw in a minor chord in there to add a little flavor, so you have some flexibility and some things you can create with. Now, once you have these chords, we're going to take these 4 chords, which we know are in the key of C, because they all contain notes from the C major scale. We're going to take those 4 chords and just kind of move them around a little bit, and that's how you get chord progressions. So one thing that really helps me, and I think it will help you out as well, is to think of it this way. Typically when you're playing music, especially with a group, or even just figuring out a song on your own, when you hear like, hey, what's the chord progression for this song? Typically, you don't hear the answer to that question being, oh, the chord progression is C, G, A minor, F major 7. What you'll hear is the chord progression is 1, 5, 6, 4, or whatever it is. And the 1 is always the key that you're in. So like in the C major scale, the C is the 1 chord, that's the key you're in, C major. And then you just apply, the reason why we assign those numbers or those Roman numerals is so you can apply this information to any key. So for example, if you're playing like, hey, what key is this song in? It's in the key of C. Well, what's the chord progression? 1, 4, 5. You can use that information to know you're going to play C, and then F, or F major 7, whatever, and G. You don't have to know all the other extraneous stuff, you just got to know the key and the chord progression, typically communicated by numbers. I encourage you to kind of practice and use this information to kind of experiment with different keys and just apply the information in this lesson to the key that you want to play in. So a really common chord progression is the 1, C, G, the 5 chord, A minor, the 6 chord, and F major 7, the 4 chord. They sound great together. You can strum those chords all built together like that and feel.
I have heard those before.
Yeah, we'll just.
Songs.
Yes. Well, we can let you guys, if you recognize that chord progression and a pretty famous song it's used in, leave it in the comments. Just curious. But we can also apply this to other scales, other keys. Like I said, I encourage you to experiment. Let's just apply it to one other key here, just to give you an example. We'll talk about the key of G. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. G is the 1 chord. A minor would be the 2 chord. B minor would be the 3 chord. C major would be the 4 chord. D major would be the 5. E minor would be the 6. And then that F diminished would be the 7th chord. So if we're applying that, we just put numbers to those notes in the scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. And we know which ones are major and minor because we've got the 1, 4, and 5 chords are major, and the 2, 3, and 6s are minor. All right, so let's do the same chord progression. Let's do a 1, 5, 4, 6 chord progression in the key of G. The 1 chord's the G, the 5 is the D, the 6 is E minor, and the 4 is a C. Same chord progression, different key. If you play those 4 chords in any order, you're going to be playing in the key of G, and they're all going to sound great together, and your ear is going to naturally hear this fits and this works. And when you do that, you're going to be confident that you know playing those 4 chords are going to sound great. Next up, check out this lesson where I show you 4 songs you can play with just 4 chords. And bonus points, figuring out the key of those songs would be kind of cool if you could apply this and find out those keys. But anyway, we want to also thank you for watching and your support and your views here on YouTube. Vicki and Maggie and I are having a blast with it. We'll see you for the next lesson, and don't forget, or I should say always remember, you're never too old to learn.
Take care.